The role of the server among SMBs and enterprises has evolved dramatically since virtualization and cloud computing platforms exploded onto the IT scene. Virtualization enabled organizations to operate multiple virtual machines, or VMs, on a single physical box. That boosted hardware utilization and gave IT teams the ability to consolidate resources, improve management, and save money. Virtualization also paved the way to the cloud, since IT managers could transfer VMs off-site to run on hyperscale providers like AWS, Google, and Microsoft. But even with virtualization in the cloud, businesses of all sizes continue to own and operate their own servers. Some prefer to keep sensitive workloads on in-house servers. Others find certain apps too costly or difficult to move to a public cloud. The bottom line is this: your organization will continue to need servers. So in the next few minutes, we'll review how to choose the server hardware that's right for your organization. But for a deeper dive, explore our complete collection on all things server hardware by clicking the link above or in the description below. Servers come in a range of form factors. To know which is right for your organization, you need to understand each type. First, there are tower servers. A tower server resides in an upright standalone cabinet and looks like a tower-style PC. These servers have relatively low component density, so they cool more easily. They're also comparatively inexpensive, so a good option for businesses on a budget. On the other hand, tower servers take up more space than other types. Next, there are rack servers. A rack server is mounted on a rack in a data center. Rack servers often play an all-around computing role in the data center, supporting a multitude of workloads. Rack servers and their mechanical racks are built to consistent size standards so that servers from multiple vendors can be stacked together. This makes adding new servers or replacing old ones straightforward. The challenge is cable management. That's because a large number of rack servers are often physically tethered to power supplies, networking equipment, and storage devices, resulting in massive cable runs throughout the data center. A third type of server is a blade server. These are compact devices that house multiple thin modular assemblies called blades. Each blade contains a single server, which is often assigned to one application. Since blade servers tend to be dedicated, admins have greater control over how they are accessed and how data is transferred. They also offer greater processing density than other server types, which gives them a potential price and performance advantage. Blade servers are often used in hyperconverged infrastructure, or HCI, deployments, where power, cooling, and management can be vital concerns for the business. Blade server systems are also easier to repair than rack servers due to their hot swappable modular components. That's a lot of pros, but there is one con. Historically, they've been built on proprietary architectures, and that makes vendor lock-in a possible pitfall. Hyperconverged infrastructure, or HCI, is aimed at providing a simpler alternative to traditional IT infrastructure. It pulls together servers, storage, network, and hypervisor technology into an integrated system. Typically with HCI, a mid-level data center engineer should be able to complete the tasks of initial hardware configuration, hypervisor deployment, and software-defined storage implementation more easily than cobbling together separate pieces of an IT infrastructure. Vendors' HCI products offer setup wizards to gather the appropriate information and manage the system on an ongoing basis. The implementation processes are mostly automated. Finally, on our list of server hardware types is the traditional mainframe. Today's mainframes can support a large volume of simultaneous transactions and heavy I/O workloads. Financial services firms conducting concurrent real-time transactions are among the typical mainframe customers. There are two main drawbacks to mainframes: physical size and price tag. IT buyers in the market for servers should keep in mind their current and future workload needs when they're evaluating possible server products. While organizations' requirements will naturally vary, the best hardware server choice will involve major server hardware features such as CPU, memory, storage, and network connectivity. CPU, or central processing unit, is a fundamental consideration because it's the brain of a computer running programs and manipulating data. When comparing the CPU in servers, buyers should consider the number of cores available on a processor, CPU clock speed, the available cache, and the number of CPU sockets. Server memory is critical for hosting applications and getting best performance out of a system. The more memory available, the more workloads the server can host, and the better those workloads will perform. The memory's speed and quality matter too, so consider server features that boost reliability like fault-tolerant and error-correcting capabilities. Another critical feature is storage, which will depend on the intended applications and workloads. For instance, a database server has different needs than one running a web application. Most server vendors support flash storage in the form of SSDs and traditional hard drives. That said, buyers should check with vendors to confirm what drive types and drive technology they support. However, many servers focus on using centralized storage subsystems such as disk arrays, so the storage on individual servers may have less importance for buyers. Fourth on the list is connectivity. Buyers should determine network connectivity requirements and compare those with a server's specifications. Variables to evaluate might include the number and speed of Ethernet connections, support for storage subsystems such as storage area networks or SANs, hot swapping capabilities, the level of redundancy available for components such as hard drives, power supply units, and fans, server management capabilities, and security features. Finally, admins should consider the physical operating environment in which the new servers will reside and ensure the data center will keep server temperature and humidity within recommended ranges. Whether you're purchasing a server for an enterprise or a small business, choosing the right one is pretty elementary. You need to do two things: know your requirements and use cases, and match those against the products you evaluate. Okay, maybe it's not quite that simple. What complicates things is that vendors offer a wide range of server configurations and models, and many of them are optimized for particular types of workloads. So you should take the time to conduct a careful analysis, or you can hire a consultant or channel partner, such as a value-added reseller or VAR, to identify the server that best suits your needs. Another thing organizations should do is familiarize themselves with procurement methods. Because vendors sell servers in various ways, such as on their website, through a direct sales force, through third-party online retailers, and in partnership with authorized channel companies, these variations will affect how the server is delivered, the deployment alternatives, and the amount of support available. Cost, of course, is always a consideration, even more so with a budget-conscious small business. When calculating the true cost of a server, consider four factors: the hardware requirements based on anticipated uses, server OS licensing costs, which can rival the hardware price tag, the licensing costs of each application intended to reside on the server, and ongoing server maintenance and administration costs. With any big technology purchase decision, you want to consider where the tech is headed. When it comes to server hardware, the biggest factor influencing future purchases will likely be the growth of cloud computing. I don't need to tell you how popular the cloud has become with businesses. During the COVID-19 pandemic, adoption of cloud servers and services soared as businesses moved more workloads out of the data center and onto cloud platforms. But even so, in-house server hardware will remain an important acquisition for many businesses. Small business and corporate data centers will all continue to own and operate servers, often as part of a hybrid cloud environment. You can expect server technology to change, though, especially with a push toward more resources, better energy efficiency, and more recycling or repurposing alternatives for green data centers. So keep the future in mind, especially if you're just starting out in the server hardware acquisition process.